Hey everybody, welcome to week 8. This is the weekly rundown. I hope you are having an awesome start to your week. I'm going to jump right into what we're supposed to be doing as far as activities and evaluations for our second week of our podcast unit. As always, check the newsfeed and the activity feed for the most up-to-date information. I apologize, I did a couple updates last week in regards to the assignment this week because some things didn't line up. So make sure that whatever I'm saying now is what you should be doing for this week's activity, okay? But first, do the weekly attendance activity. I'm going to be asking you to share a podcast that you know or that you're familiar with. It could have been a podcast that you checked out last week, or it could be one that you've been listening to for a long time. Okay, so it's all it is a survey, and you can share whatever you want as long as it's appropriate, of course. So that's the attendance activity for the week. Now, last week you looked at the criteria, what makes a good podcast. And so I hope you had some time learning about things like voice, diction, organization of ideas, all those good things, genre, all those things that make a good podcast. So this week we're going to be analyzing a podcast, and you're going to be taking notes, and this is going to be evaluated. We're looking at a specific podcast, season 2, episode 1 and 10. So the first and the last episode of Finding Cleo. You're going to be taking notes. There is a template here for you to take notes. This has been modified since the beginning of last week, so it's the most up-to-date template. So try to use this. If you've already talked to me about getting ahead on this assignment and working on this, then I'll work with you on a case-by-case basis. But if you're just starting, everything's here that you need to check out Finding Cleo and finish this assignment. All you're doing is taking notes, try and be as thorough as you can, and then there's a couple questions that I want you to respond to. If you're not sure how you're being marked, always check the Dropbox, and there's a rubric attached to each evaluated assignment. The other thing you can be doing this week is starting to plan for your final evaluation for this unit. The podcast unit moves pretty quickly. We're only doing 3 weeks. So what you can do is go to the final evaluation and check out what this assignment is. Essentially, you're going to be creating your own podcast based on a topic that you're interested in. Okay. So if I open that doc up, you're going to see something like this. And the purpose of this podcast that you're creating is to educate your audience on a specific topic, okay? So that can be anything of your choice. If you're inspired by the content that you were looking at this week or the week before, you can follow suit with any of the podcast styles and structures that we've been looking at. Okay, if you're unsure of what kind of topic to do, then you can reach out to me. This is a good week to do that. It's also a good week to start your planning and research, as well as possibly writing a script for this podcast, because you don't want to just do a podcast that is off the top of your head. You want to think about what you're saying and how to integrate the research that you'll be doing. Okay, now I'll be explaining this podcast in a little more detail next week, but I think it's good to get started on this so that you give yourself enough time to complete it next week, because sometimes recording can get a little bit tricky when you're doing a media assignment. Okay, so that's the weekly rundown for this week. I hope that you're having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.